For more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, channelstv.com, youtube.com/channelsweb. We have videos of our shows. Also, watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS devices from their respective stores. This hour is giving you access to news updates on the go. The Channels TV, Channels 24 app have an Eyewitness feature that you can use to share pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu, and please follow the instructions. And to some of the reports that you sent in, our first photo shows an aerial view of the pitch of the National Stadium in Abuja. Our Eyewitness says this is very distasteful and wasteful. He wants the relevant authorities to revamp the facility and put it to proper use. The next photo shows a vandalized CCTV camera close to the office of the National Intelligence Agency in Abuja. Our Eyewitness is disturbed about the dangers we're all exposed to when criminals cannot be identified or punished. He wants the CCTV on our roads working again. The final photo shows the state of the road opposite the Ojo Barracks along the Lagos-Badagry Expressway. Our Eyewitness says this is how the entire stretch has become an eyesore and a death trap. He cannot understand how the road has become an almost abandoned project. Well, many thanks for sending them, and keep them coming. Let's go over to River State, where the Governor, Nyesom Wike, has scored his first term administration below average in the area of sanitation and environment. And now he has vowed to remove all impediments to achieving a cleaner, safer environment in the state. According to him, although a lot is being done in infrastructure and other sectors, a state of emergency has been declared on the environment.
Encourage our people to be part of political activities. Let them not leave it for those who say they are politicians. No. If you do that, anything that happens, then you are part of it. If anything goes wrong, you are part of those that make things to go wrong. So don't say, oh, I don't encourage our people. No. We must encourage them. When men of God are involved, when religious people are involved in governance, you always see that there will be a difference. So it's not just to just be staying, holding synod or holding conferences alone. Tell them to participate. They should participate, but not to participate to do the wrong thing. But participate so that we can have confidence in our governance.
And for the Imo State Governor, Emeka Ihedioha, he is promising honest and transparent policies and programs that will be beneficial to the people instead of propaganda and lies. Governor Ihedioha made this commitment at his first church service as governor at the Cathedral of the Transfiguration of Our Lord Anglican Communion in Owerri, the state capital. He also solicited the support and cooperation of all Imo indigents as he steers the ship of the state in the next 4 years as governor. Now, in another inauguration Thanksgiving service, Mr. Dakwa Abiodun, the Ogun State Governor, has announced the establishment of the Public Works Department to tackle headlong deplorable roads across the state. He spoke in Abeokuta, the state capital, during the church service at St. Peter's Cathedral, Ake, in the state capital. The governor assured the people of the state of his determination to creating the necessary atmosphere for industrial development.
The Ogun State Governor Dakwa Abiodun, in the company of his wife, his deputy, at a special Thanksgiving service. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former governors Benga Daniel and Donald Duke, the Ogun State Chief Judge, Speaker of the House of Assembly, traditional rulers are also in attendance. Songs of praises and dance to set the mood for the service. In his sermon, the Bishop of Egba Diocese, Emmanuel Adekunle, advised the governor to be wary of sycophants, respect the rule of law, and give priority to infrastructure development.
Please keep your fellowship with God. Do not keep off from the prophets, the men of God. Sometimes their words may not be palatable, not abusive, but constructive criticism. As David listened to Nathan for spiritual guidance, continue to come into the church to hear the word of God. But be careful of the soothsayers.
The governor says he will complete all ongoing projects and also resuscitate the Ogun State Road Maintenance Agency to stimulate economic growth in the state.
I want to assure you that we will complete all ongoing projects, because you are very emphatic that time and time again administrations come in and they tend to abandon projects that were started by previous administration. We will complete all ongoing projects because taxpayers' monies have been committed to this project. We have decided, like the Lord Bishop recalled, that we are resuscitating the Department of Public Works, which used to be called Ogun.
The governor also promised to respect the rule of law and ensure equity in all his dealings as the governor of the state.
Well, back in the southeast, the governor of Anambra State, Mr. Willie Obiano, has decried the obsolete and antiquated equipment in government printing, describing them as not only old-fashioned but embarrassing. Governor Obiano vented his displeasure when he inspected the Anambra Newspaper and Printing Corporation, ANPC, printers of national light newspapers, and the government printing press, all located in Oka, the state capital.
Governor Willie Obiano arrives at the premises of the Anambra Newspaper and Printing Corporation, ANPC, printers of the state-owned national light newspapers. He is reportedly the first sitting governor to visit the establishment personally since its creation. Among those who received the governor during this historic visit are retired workers of the organization who appreciate him for clearing the huge backlog of their pensions and gratuities arrears.
You are the first governor that listened to our problem. You saved so many lives. Some of us would have been dead by now. But since we have received our pension and gratuity up to 2016 December, from 1992 to 2016 December, we are praying you to at least direct that we will continue to receive our monthly pension from January 1, 2017 to date.
After inspecting facilities and equipment around the establishment, he is certainly not impressed with their deplorable condition and promises to do something about it.
Your Excellency, welcome again.
The governor also extends the visit to the government printing press located inside the government house, where he saddles the managing director and commissioner for information with the task of taking stock of the challenges facing the complex.
Well, for more on indeed the state governors who are settling in, joining us on the program is Channels Television's data analyst, Babajide Ogun. We'd like to thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Millicent.
Good evening. So it's going to be an interesting day. I've seen you have several items.
We'll try to make some forecasts, but you know, in my hands here tonight is all of Nigeria's problems. And okay, my hands are too small or too young to really carry all of Nigeria's problems. Well, here's what I mean. Several years ago, my grandfather taught me how to play this game. But the most valuable lesson he told me was that in everything in life, you must always have a target. In everything in life, you must always have a target. And so I've given you that. I probably wouldn't allow you to throw that here. But the whole idea is, of what use is that dart in your hand if you don't have a target? In other words, of what use is power in the hands of the leaders if they are not aiming at anything? And so there are three things we would expect all state governors to focus on. The first is they have to set targets. The second is they need to publicly declare these targets. In other words, in 2019, the public declaration of their targets will perhaps be more important than the public declaration of their assets.
But aren't this the same targets or the same promises they made before coming into office?
And that brings me to the final and the third thing, and that is you and I and all citizens have to hold all the state governors and indeed the president and all elected officers accountable for these targets that they've set.
How do we do that?
Again, ensuring that we track everything. And that's why we said, first is all leaders have to set targets. The second is they have to declare these targets publicly. And you and I need to ensure that we follow through on these targets to ensure that they are accountable to these targets, and that will also determine if they get re-elected.
A lot of people are wondering about, these promises amounting to development, changing the fortunes of their states. I mean, how are we going to get that reassurance?
Again, it looks at what sort of development are we going to get at the states and at the regional level. And so if we look at how do the state governors impact the economy, and if we look at it from the regional perspective, here's what you find. You find weaknesses, but within those weaknesses, Millicent, there are strengths. And so if you look at the Northwest, for instance, that is where the population of the country is centered. And so it's a weakness and it's a strength. And all state governors have to find a way of exploiting population. Same thing in North Central, food sustainability, and a weakness and a strength. In the Northeast, counterterrorism to ensure that the nation is safe is what you will expect state governors in that region to focus on. In the Southwest, internally generated revenue. In the South-South, which we know is where the federal government gets its core funding source, that is an opportunity and is also a weakness. And in the South is there huge trade and manufacturing opportunities. And so those are the areas that we would expect the newly elected state governors to focus on, especially when we look at it from a regional perspective.
And we can see that from, the screen just a moment ago. But then, based on your forecast, what advice would you have for state governors?
There's going to be a lot of competition, Millicent, especially if you look at the inauguration of those 29 governors. From the evidence we have from the inauguration, 15 out of those 29 governors were PDP, 14 were APC. In other words, in the next 2 to 3 years, we will still see a lot of competition. But my advice, as you've asked for, is for them to hold on to one word, and that is discipline. And even though we're expected, and we will most likely see a lot of politics and the competition that will be going on between these two major parties, we'll still expect all leaders to show a lot of discipline in how they manage the resources of their states.
Some people are saying this is all just talk. I mean, it's just the first few days, maybe the first year. Some people are already talking about 2023. Isn't that a distraction?
Eventually it will be. Can you stop politicians from talking about 2023, Millicent? No, you can't. But that reminds me of the words of the former UK Prime Minister, Benjamin Disraeli. In his words, he says, you can only have an economy if there is efficiency. And so here's my advice to politicians, even though we can't stop them from playing politics, is that play politics effectively, but play the economy efficiently, because clearly we can't stop them from playing politics. So play politics effectively, but play the economy efficiently. But in the final analysis, remember how I started. In everything in life, you must always
have a target.
So what's your target for tonight?
Well, early to bed, they say, early to rise.
Well, I'm sure your target is also to make sure that you don't go beyond 11 p.m. In everything in life, you must have a target.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babajide Ogun, Channels Television's data analyst, for joining us on the news at 10.